everybody, and welcome to another Learn to Digitize video. My name is Sue and I'm a Hatch educator, and today it's all about connections and what connections do and why you must do them all the time as much as possible. So what I mean when I say connections is, let's throw some objects down here. We're going to work on a project after. We're going to bring in something. But for now, let's go to Digitize and let's do even a rectangle. Easy enough. Click. I don't want it filled with that. I should have looked. My rhythm is out. There we go. We're going to do a rectangle. We're going to right click. We're going to slide it over. So you have two objects. Now, if you're on true view, you can't see, but there is a connection. There's more than one connection, and it's going back and forth here. You can take these objects and you can do closest connection on them. And that is in Edit, Objects. And it's right here, apply closest join. And that does it. That does a closest join, but that is a jump stitch. And if you had other objects here, you would want, and that is actually a trim, if your machine does trimming. If it doesn't, it's just going to jump across. Now, okay, so your machine has trims. Not everybody's machine has trims. But even if it does, machine trim takes, I don't know, 3, 4, 6 seconds. Okay, well, that doesn't seem bad. If you do that, say, 50 times, how much longer is your design taking to stitch out? It would only take 1 second to go across, and you're adding, say, 6 seconds. So you're going to add a lot of time and a lot of energy on your machine. The best way to digitize is to add your connections. And the way we talked about it in, we had a Hatch Live. The way we talked about it in Hatch Live is walk. I call it walking. I am going to take a nice stroll down to the next item. So you can see that's a jump stitch. Again, yes, we can do closest join. But what about if we wanted to make it even better? And again, will set you aside from beginner digitizers to more advanced, is you make connections. And we are going to work on this, but I just want to show you guys the basics and why you need to do it. Now, walk, don't run. So we are going to go to Digitize, and we are going to do a Digitize open shape. And right now that ends here, we can move our start and stop points. And say you had another object here that was ending, you could walk underneath the other object and start here and press enter. Now that is in the wrong spot, so it's really not going to help you out any. But watch what happens when you change it. Everything changes. Let's go on true view so you guys can see what I'm talking about. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense like this, but you will see what I mean. And easy, you can select these three and you can do edit and you can do apply closest join. So this is going to stitch out and then it's going to end here. And then instead of trimming and doing a jump stitch, or instead of trimming and doing all the tack down stitches and everything, it's going to walk over. We're pretending we have another object there. It's going to walk right over here. And if you do that for all your objects, your machine will be much more efficient. Your designs will stitch out better. Your machine will stitch out more efficiently. There's more movement and it keeps it going. And it will save you and your customers, or anything that you stitch out doing it this way, it's going to save you a lot of time. Definitely a lot of time. Now, we did another video with letters, and I showed you how to do the top part, and then you walk it down and do the bottom part, and then you do this part over. So the skill is plotting out your designs so you can make great connections. I say that all the time in the Facebook group. Make great connections. So plotting it out, figuring it out, and organizing your design before you start. Now, some people, we call it optimizing. Is your design optimized? So it means it's optimized for stitching. Some people find the plotting very difficult. You have to keep working at it and you will get it. Other people find that they can optimize after. The only thing is it gets a little complicated depending on what kind of a design you're doing. And like I did in the first one, you need to move your optimization stitches up into the right spot. So either way works, and there's more than one way of doing anything as long as you're making fantastic connections. So let's bring in our artwork, and our artwork isn't anything fancy at all. It's a checkerboard, which you can look at this and do it quite a few ways. My first, when I see it, I'm looking at the black ones, that these are almost touching. So you could do this square and this square, put a closest joint, and that's not going to show up. And that's super fantastic for this row, or starting here, or however you want to do it. But how are you going to get to the other rows? You're going to have a jump stitch here, a jump stitch here, and then what are you going to do to go back here and do it? So I'm going to show you how to walk around. And again, we're going to do it a couple ways. Actually, what I do want to start off, we're just going to pay attention to this row. So a lot of people would do a square and then jump over, a square, a jump over, change colors, white, a jump over, white. So how many jump overs are there? 2, 4, 6. How many jumps or how many trims have you added already? You've added another minute to your design, say, which again doesn't seem like a lot, but wow, it's going to add up. It's absolutely going to add up. So we're just talking about this first row. And let's do it. Let's absolutely do it. So let's do digitize closed shape, or you could do the rectangle if you wanted. But I'm just going to digitize closed shape, and I'm going to digitize it right on the lines. You should be zoomed in to 600%, but everyone says they can't see what I'm doing, so I'm not doing that. And hit enter and go back to select and fill it, because that's what we want. And again, we just want tatami stitches. I can actually zoom in. Now, one thing I forgot to do is see how big my picture is. And I can't tell from that, so I'm going to go back to US, which is fine to do, you know, by the way. And this is absolutely huge. So we want to digitize at the size that we want our final design to be. I do not want my design to be 30 inches by 30 inches. That's kind of big. That's kind of big. So let's make it, we could even make it 10. I want it on the little bit of a bigger size. And that's, you know, you need to do that. So a little bit bigger so you guys can see. Look at the difference. Wow. Okay, so let's make this fit. Let's make this fit. The other thing I didn't do that I always do is that I want to lock this down. The keyboard shortcut is K, and it puts a little lock sign right there, and that means I can't accidentally move my image around. So those are the steps when you first start digitizing. Digitize at the size that you want, lock down your image so you don't have any errors or any mistakes. Now I want to nudge that over, so I'm using the arrow keys, very precise. It moves it in small increments, and it's a lot easier than messing around with moving it. So I'm going to leave this not blue. I'm going to make it, that's a terrible color. How about purple? It's been kind of bluey purple these days. And plus we could do Halloween colors. There we go, purple. So let's right click, hold, slide this over, and do it that way. So let's take off the true view, and that's the center of it. We can fix that after, but see how it's, you could see it right there. This is where we're gonna go through. We don't want that. No, put the true view back on. So what we want to do, let's get rid of this guy because we don't need you yet, guy. Let's go into our reshape, and our start and end points are here. So the cross, can you see that? I'll zoom in. That's where we're ending. Now we want to put it here. We don't particularly want it in the middle because we're going to have to walk around. So we still want it the shortest distance. For this one, of course, it really doesn't matter where we start. We can put them together. We can put the start here. We can put the start here. Or I'm moving the end. Waha, look at that. There we go. Put our start there. Put our end there. So what we want to do is grab our open shape, and from right here, and you don't have to be that precise about it, but we want to walk over to right here, and you're going to hit enter, and let's change that color because it needs to be I'm just going to leave that color so it stands out that that is our connection. So then we can digitize it again. So let's just, I know I can copy and paste, but we're just doing this to work. So where this running stitch ends, that is where I want to start. That is where I want to start. Absolutely. There and there, and hit enter and change it to fill. Go back to that, change it to fill, and change it to tatami. And now we have a nice connection. It's going to stitch this out, it's going to run here, and it's going to stitch that out. So let's do that again. Let's check our points. We've got the start and stop at 1, so we want to move it. Now you can do this all with, nearest connection when you're done. I kind of like to fiddle through whatever way is easiest as long as you make your connections. So it ended there and it's going right here. So it's just basically 2 clicks. And you can hit the space bar and it's going to change you back to the close tool. And I want to just do my picks here, which it didn't do. Digitize close tool. I must have a setting. Fill, tatami, fill. Let's do it again. So let's do our square starting there and there and there and ending there. So now we have some really nice connections. We don't have any jump stitches. We don't have anything going anywhere. It's connected beautifully, and that will take far less time for you to stitch out. Now let's go ahead and we're going to do the same thing with the white stitches. And we're going to start with a new color. First, let me change these guys. I forgot to change it as I went along, but that's okay. We can just select all of them by shift clicking and click on purple. So that's the purple. It stands out. Look how fantastic that is. Now, I'm assuming that there's other objects, and if we were working on this, there would be other objects that are covering up. A lot of it, you can hide these running stitches underneath other objects. There are going to be jump stitches in everything that you do. The idea is that you minimize the jump stitches. Now this is just basic. This is just basic. What we're doing is just squares, but I'm going to do a design that's a little more complicated afterwards. But this is just to get the hang of it. We want to walk about. I'm going to actually bring up the smash and show you one letter on how you walk about in one letter. And that's going to help out a lot. But let's get this done. So we're going to start with the white. So let's get our rhythm. We're going to select our digitize close shape. We want a fill stitch. We want tatami. And we want, why don't we do a light blue? So we want to start here. Doesn't actually matter where you start. There, 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 and there. And we're going to hit enter. And it worked. And for me, I like to go in and change my start and stop points. It started there and it ended there. And you know what? That one is fine too. But if you look, you really can't see that purple too much. What you could do is even click on it and you could move it down using your arrow keys and look how it disappears. Just a little bit, it'll still make the connection and there may be a tiny jump stitch, but that doesn't matter. But you see how I covered that up? Isn't that fantastic? I could actually move that guy up a little bit. And if we take off the true view, we can see that it's under there. It's right near the edge, maybe a little close. But if you have other objects to cover it up, do it. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And it is fantastic. Once you do this a couple times, there'll be no turning back. You will not want to be stitching out anything with jump stitches. Again, there's going to be 1 or 2, but with a whole bunch of jump stitches and jumps from color to color and all these trims. Again, that's fine. You have a machine that trims, but it's taking up a lot of time and it's hard on your machine. And it's, we call it lazy. I have done lazy designs in my time, I'm telling you. And around here, we call it lazy. Is that optimized or were you lazy? Just as kind of a joke. So for this one, it's going to be a little harder to hide unless we do a satin border. Because this is already stitched, the purple stitches out first. However, let's pretend that we have a little satin border. So we're going to go here and we're going to go here and we're going to hit enter. And that is going to show a little bit too much. Really depends on what you're doing. Let's go back to our closed shape and we're going to start it right here. Now we're going to cover up the purple ones, which is awesome. Cover up, there we go, and boom. And I forgot my rhythm again. I don't always have it. There we go. So that's covered up, that's covered up. That shows not as much as you think, but it does show. I don't really like it. I would come up with a different way. It depends on what's going on down here. Or if you look, if we put on a, we could digitize blocks even quickly over it. Not really that thick is ideal. But actually, you know, it would be better that it is a bit thick. We can digitize open shape and we can just draw a line from here to here. And we're going to hit enter. And that's just a line. That's not going to do you any good. How about we change it to satin? And we can make, we'll leave it there, auto. How about we pull it down a little bit? I'm going to use my arrow keys again. And if you're doing something like this, a lot of objects have satin stitches. You just make sure it covers it up. Now, what do you think? Can you see? It's still going. I guess I pressed it too many times. Can you see? You can now. Can you see that? No. And that looks perfect. And again, no jump stitches. There is nothing going across my beautiful embroidery. It's all hidden. It's all super hidden. And I think it looks fantastic. It absolutely looks fantastic. So that's the basics of it and how you want to walk to your other object and how you want to hide everything. So now let's go on to something a little more complicated. So let's do new file. And it's just Design 2. And we're going to bring in another image. This is the second image for the class. And it's just a cute little design that you see everywhere. And it's this cute little guy here. It was a Valentine's design. Now this is quite small, but that's okay. We're going to make it bigger. It's going to get a little blurrier, but that's okay. We need to work on things like that as well. And it's just a cute little design that's, you know, not a huge deal, but you can do a lot of optimizing on this design. So let's look at it and see what it looks like. Again, it's a little bit blurry. I made it bigger so we can all see it. Let's concentrate, for example, on the bee. So what do you see here? You see yellow and you see a brown, you see yellow, brown, yellow. So how are you going to do that? You could do just his face and it's going to jump to the next color, or it's going to trim to the next color and do it that way, or we can hide it. So, and the same with the brown. Now, the way I see this design are these colors stitching out and the black stitching over top. That's how I see it, and that is how I'm going to proceed with it. So let's start off with his head, and we're going to digitize close shape. And we're just going to go ahead. Now we want a little bit of overlap. You want to overlap everything just a tiny bit. Again, I'm not zoomed in to the right amount because everyone said you can't see well enough. So let's do that. Let's change it to, we're going to do nice bright yellow like that. And again, let's check out. We started here. We wanted to end it exactly there. That is so perfect. Thank you. Exactly there, because this is how we're going to do it. We are going to digitize open shape, and we want it on a single, and we want it on yellow. And we're going to go right from this point, and we are going to walk over to the next part. And we're going to hit enter. And then we're going to go back to close shape and fill and tatami and still the same yellow. And we're going to start our next shape here. So see how this is coming along? Now I know it looks strange right now, but we will be covering that up. And I'm just left clicking and right clicking here. Right click for curves, left click, right about here you can hit enter. That looks fantastic. Let's go to our reshape, and it ended there. I think I would like to move it down here. But you know what? If you didn't do it, let's just leave it there, because I'll show you you can walk around anything because we're hiding it. So let's go back to select. Let's go back to digitize open shape, and it ended right here. If you didn't want to change it for some reason, you can just walk right over here to the third piece of yellow. Hit enter, go back to your close shape, fill, tatami, and start it here. And that is amazing what we just did. That is absolutely amazing, because we stopped all of the jump stitches. We've walked around and we've hidden it. And that is going to be such a smooth stitch out. You guys are going to love it. I'm telling you, you guys are going to love it. So let's do that again with the brown. And this is what it's going to look like in your resequence. It's going to be an object, a connection, an object, a connection, an object. And they're nicely hidden, and I think it's fantastic. So let's do close shape, and let's pick another color. We can, I don't know why it's brown. I guess it's gold. So we can do gold. And let's just start here. Let's start here. And you may find it easier to do it the secondary way, which you put in the connections afterwards. And I'm right clicking and left clicking. Do remember to overlap a little bit. I don't know if I like that yellow, but that's okay. So say you forget to make your connection. Let's go over that. I'm going to go straight into the next thing, and there's going to be a jump stitch that I don't want. So say you do it like this, that's fine. Uh-oh, I forgot to make my connection. Should I leave it? No, definitely no. Do you see where the jump stitch is there? It goes from there to there, there to there. The quickest way to do it, if you forget to make your connection, is go to Digitize Open Shape and just go from, plan out where you're going to go. But let's say, for example, we're just going to start it here, right beside it, and we're going to walk over here. Now, it doesn't matter that I'm crossing over, and we're going to end here, and we're going to press enter. And we have our connection, but if you look, it's not connecting anything. It's actually making a little bit more of a mess. Easily fixed. Left click and hold. Let's move it in between. Select all three pieces. And then we're going to go into edit, and we are going to do apply closest join. And that solves all of our problems. Now it's going to stitch this out. Now it's going to walk over to here and it's stitch out here. And instead of manually moving the start and stop points, that's how you do it quickly. So if you forget to make your connection, you still have to go back and do your connection. Then when we do all of this in black, it is going to cover everything up. Now you do have to be a little bit careful. If you do a bright red and you're running back and forth a couple times and you're covering it over with a tatami white, it might show through. So you have to be, you know, really, I consider it a puzzle. You have to be pretty discreet about it and hide things. You can hide things on the edge. Things hide fantastic under satin stitches. Add a little extra underlay if you wanted, but that is how you make great connections. And again, that is going to stitch out better than you've ever seen. So let's do this heart because it's pretty complicated. It's pretty complicated. So you either see this heart with red underneath and black over top, or the opposite. I see it as the red at the bottom. So that's where I want to start. And we're going to make great connections again. Let's go back to our digitize, and let's go back to our digitize close shape. And really, once you get into the rhythm of doing this, there's no turning back. So speaking of rhythm, off a little bit, let's go to select, let's go to fill, tatami, and we do want to change it to this red scarlet hatch color. Love it. So let's do half one way, half the other. So if I'm just going along here and I'm not making, you're having an off day and you don't feel like making connections right now, you just want to get your objects done, enter, and we want that red. At least it did tatami this time, right? Red. So let's do it correctly this time. Digitize closed shape tatami, and the color is red. Thank you. And let's do this. And I'm not paying any attention to where I'm starting and where I'm finishing. I'm just doing it. And then you think, oh no, I didn't make my connections. Oh no. So let's make our connections. Let's go to Digitize Open Shape. And we want it on a single stitch, nothing fancy. And let's make our connection. So we want to go from here to here, and we're going to hit enter. And the first thing we're going to do is left click, hold, and we're going to move this guy into the right spot. So we want it to stitch the first one, make our connection, and then go to the second one. If you were to put it in the wrong spot, when you take your true view off, you're gonna see the jump stitches there. We don't want that. So remember where you're putting it. Keep it in lower, I guess, numbers, so you know what we're doing. It's still a bit of a mess, but we're getting there. Let's go to Digitize Open Shape. Let's go from number 2 to number 3, hit enter, and back to select. And again, we need to move that in the right spot. Now, the start and end points aren't in the right spot right now. So let's select. There is a setting. There is a setting where you can always make it do closest join. I just don't have it on, and plus I want to keep going over everything. So apply closest join. Everything changes, and bam, look at that. There'd be nothing. There'd be no jump stitches between them. And instead of jumping or doing anything, it's just smooth as pie. I absolutely, absolutely love it. Let's put our true view back on so you can see what I'm doing. So let's do the last half the other way. So let's go back to Digitize, and let's go here. Digitize, oh, how about I pick something? Digitize closed shape, fill, tatami, and we still want our bright red. And we're going to go here, 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 except I forgot to do something. Enter. What did I forget to do? I forgot to make the connection. We want this one connected, here, why not? Here, enter. It's a running stitch. Let's move it to the right spot, and we will change our start and stop points right here. That's our angle stitch. We don't want to mess with that. We want it to start here, and this one is a little bit hard to see because of the color. So instead of wasting time and getting frustrating, I'm just going to tell it to make closest connection because I can't see the red stop. I know it's there, I just can't see it because what I'm working on. Now I'm at what I should be. So let's make our connection. Digitize open shape, here to here, enter. It's in the right spot. Digitize closed shape. Let's do our guy. It's a bit harder to see, but that's okay. So that was left click, left click. Let's go to right clicks. Right, that may or may not be okay. It's pretty hard to see because it's so pixelated. And hit enter. And I forgot to do my thing. I forgot my rhythm. That's okay. Looking good. Absolutely looking good. So let's make another connection because I love connections. Let's go from here to here. Hit enter. And let's do this. Let's go to Digitize Close Shape and here. And this is looking really good. And remember, everything is going to be covered up. Did I do it again? I did it again. I always do. Drive myself crazy. That's okay. Remember the rhythm. And let's take, all of these. We can even go to colors, and we can go here, and we can go to edit objects and apply closest join. And what a great stitch out that's going to be. We're walking to each part. And again, remember, we're going to cover it all up. So let's do a quick cover up. I actually am going to do something here. I want to try something because I always like to try something, and there's always options. And let's click on all of those, and let's change it to satin. It's a bit wide, but that's okay. It'll split and look okay. Let's not do that. because it's splitting, and I don't like when it splits. It's telling me it's a little bit too far. But let's go back to digitize. Let's finish off this heart, and then we'll keep working on different things. Okay, let's continue on making our connections. Now the next piece, because you want to try to keep the color changes to a minimum. Right now I have one set for each color, and that's great. So there's not too many color changes. We don't want to switch back and forth. So the next one I'm going to do is the red. So how are we going to do that? It's easy. We can walk it around. And again, the black is going to cover up everything as long as we kind of stick to it. So this will save us another trim and another jump stitch, and bam, there we go. Let's do our digitize closed shape, fill, tatami, and let's do this heart shape. So you can see how we're clearly and very, very effectively optimizing all of our designs. So anybody with any kind of a machine can stitch this out, and it's going to be beautiful straight off the machine. Not everybody has trims. We have 4, 5 big machines, and I went and I bought a single machine so I could remember to optimize it completely. There we go. So do you see how that works? It's going to start here and finish. You know, in retrospect, it would have been better to start at this end, and you can go through and reverse everything, so then you don't have this big run stitch. But that's with planning. That's how you plot it out. So you could have started here and then started at this one, and we can go and change it, but I think you guys get the idea. If you're doing it wrong, you can always do it this way. But in retrospect, start this one, make your connection, start this one, make your connection, make your connection, make your connection, and then the connection would have been here. So, you know, you can go ahead and rearrange everything. Let's take this part off, because we should be doing it properly. This is what the class is about. So 1, 2, and this is what you end up doing until you get everything down pat. No, we don't want it to jump over there, so we want this piece next. See what I'm getting at here? There, and I'm out of order. I keep mixing up that one. It just takes a minute. If you click on it, you know, it'll tell you where you're going. So this one, and then this one, and then the joint, and now we're really perfecting our work, and it really is worth the time doing what I'm doing. I didn't plan it out properly, now did I? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to make it right. It really, for any design that you're stitching out for yourself or for someone else, or if you're selling it, it really is worth taking the time to do just what I did. Now it's optimized. So now we're starting at this end and connect this end. Is that one wrong? Nope, that one's right. And connect, and this one, and connect, and this one, and connect, and this one, and connect. And then this one, and now all we have to do is throw in a connection. So really, it is really absolutely worth the time to do it right. And that is a much better stitching than what I had it before. And all I had to do was reverse the order of everything. And again, it is so worth taking the time. I wasn't going to do it, but you know what? It's to show you guys that it is absolutely worth the time. So we've got a yellow stitching out. We've got a nice run. We've got a nice run. It looks kind of wonky in here, and you might have gone this way shorter. The shorter way is usually the best, but this is okay as well. I just left it because I didn't want to change anything. So what I would do here for this one, just to make sure, let's go to our edit objects and let's go to apply closest join. And now we know for sure that everything's connecting. Let's take our true view off. Yeah, that is looking super nice, isn't it? Doesn't that look great? I am really happy with that. So what a smooth stitch out that is going to be. I absolutely love it. So we could go on and do a little bit more. When you do the lettering, there's not going to be a whole lot you can do about it. However, you could probably change the order of it a little bit so it ends up close. But that's really how we're doing it. And this is in real life situations. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, we want to do all this black. Do we want to go ahead and do the black? And then it will cover up all of our connections. I guess we probably can. We might as well finish the design. I would actually go back and optimize it. I really don't like that one long ways. Again, it doesn't matter too much, but I would prefer that it went, you know, at the shortest point. So, and it's easy to fix. I want to show you guys how to fix it without any issues and that it's worth the time. So I'm going to start here, and this is the closest point to here, and I'm going to hit enter. That is the wrong color, so we want it yellow. And then we just have to move this guy right back up, and this is just before the triangle tail. And now to me, that looks a lot better. That looks way better. So we can start covering it up with the black if you want. Okay, so let's just digitize this part of the heart. And let's go to, I clicked the wrong one, digitize. We're going to digitize closed shape. Now there's many ways you can do it. I'm just going to do it a simple way. We want it on fill, we want it on tatami, and then we want it on black. So what I'm going to do is start where I started before. So I'm going to right click. The first one down was a left click, right click around. Now the picture's cut off a little bit, but that's okay. We can make it, still make it look good. Left click down at the bottom, right click around. And what I want to do is kind of finish the heart shape. I know it's attached, but I'm using my creativity skills here. Right click, left click down at the end, and that looks fantastic. Let's take our true view off. Now I'm going to select the black, and we are going to go down here to Digitize Holes, and we're going to put holes in it. You can try using remove overlaps, but I don't find that it works very well a lot of the times. And you can just keep doing it. So Digitize Holes, we're still on it. Make sure everything's selected. And this is going to make this look really, really cool. And the red is going to stitch out first, and then the black. And I'm just hitting enter in between. Let's go back to, sorry, I clicked off of that by accident. Let's select it, Digitize Holes. Another way is that you could do the black, you could digitize the holes, and then you can fill them with another color because they fill in and make your connections. However, this is how we're doing this one. A little bit backwards here and there, but that's okay. I like to show issues that you may have. I like to show problems, and of course problem solving. So I try to throw everything in here, and the workflow isn't always perfect. You guys can refine the workflow and make beautiful, beautiful embroidery. And there we go. And we've done that, and that's so excellent. So we just cut some holes. It really didn't take that long, and look at how perfect that is. So let's watch this guy stitch out because I think it's fantastic. We haven't finished everything, but tell me that doesn't look perfect. And you know how beautifully this is going to stitch out. I absolutely love it. Let's go back to objects. Look at our pretty heart. Look at everything. So let's just watch this stitch out and enjoy our connections. We do want it faster than that. We're going to be here all day. We're going to kick it up a little bit. I could have taken the underlay off just to show you guys. We can zoom back and forth. So that's a nice spot. So let's watch the connection go. We're not skipping a beat. We're not trimming. It even goes fast to watch it. Wow, huh? There we go. Proper connection. And I do go back in and I change things. I do go back in and I change things. it might have been better to stitch this one than that one, but that part doesn't really matter. It is the most efficient thing. And zip right over. Look at that. Look at that. So fantastic. Change colors. Now here goes our reds with our connections. There is no stopping. There is no trimming. There is no nothing. And what I do before I would stitch anything like this out is that I would slow this down a tiny bit more, but I would sit and watch the stitch processor do it. And you can pick up, oh, that didn't quite work. And you can pick up on your mistakes before you stitch it out. And when you test stitch something, sit and watch it and you will see, oh, I could have made a connection there. Look at how it went straight to the other part of the red heart. But when you're stitching it out, you say, oh, I could have made a connection there. And you go back in and you fix it. And when you're done test stitching, you have an absolutely perfect embroidery with minimum jump stitches and absolutely minimum trims, which is awesome. And your machines will love you and your embroidery will love you. And look at how fantastic that is. Now, I guess I could speed that up a little bit, maybe. There we go. A little bit of radio silence there. Sorry, I love watching stuff stitch out. And then we're doing the black now. I probably could have taken the image off. It's hard to see the black, but it's just stitching in between everything. And it looks absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Look at that. Look at that. And that is how you want your embroidery to be. And I know it's a little bit fiddly, and I know it seems kind of hard to do. There's a couple of ways of doing it. You can print out this design. Oh, I have it locked, don't I? I do. You can print out this design and path it with a pencil. That is a good way to get into the rhythm of doing it. A lot of people can just sit down and just figure it out. And then a lot of people, you start it like I did and then changed it. And it's not that hard to change. You just have to pace yourself and do it. Really, literally, it took me under a minute to make this design even more efficient, even though I hadn't plotted it out properly. And I did want to show you guys that because it is important. It's a couple minutes that it's going to make it so much better. But you could, put numbers on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to go here to 7. And that's all your red. And then you can figure out your black. We're going to do the heart. And then we're going to start on the outline of the bee. And we're going to go up here and you make everything connect properly. And that's how I would do it. And that is how I want you guys to practice digitizing with making connections. Now your connections can be direct connections. Your connections can go up and around like this one that'll be covered up with black, and I know it's going to cover up properly. This one is already covered up with black, but remember I changed it. Perfect, absolutely perfect. So whether you're doing a design with checkerboards and you're covering it up, or you're doing a design like this, make your connections. Walk, don't run. And remember, here's the connections rules. We don't have a whole lot of rules. Connect the colors together. So if you notice here, I'm fully optimized with colors. I didn't do a yellow, a brown, a yellow, a brown, a yellow, because not everybody has 15 needle machines either. So they would have to change the colors. So my colors are optimized. So let's write this down, and you guys write this down too. So we want to optimize colors. Whoops. We want to optimize color changes, and we want to make great connections. We want to make great connections. Those are the things that we want to do, and those are the things that are going to make super fantastic embroidery for everything that you do. So practice, practice, practice. It takes a bit of time. Don't delete stuff. You can rearrange it. You can move stuff around. And when you're done, before you stitch it out, optimize, optimize, optimize. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you guys pick up on this. If you have questions, just let me know. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this class, and I'll see you guys in the next video.